Hello, everyone. I'm Russell Gard, Managing Director of Forward Prosperity. As a finance and mortgage brokerage firm, one of the most common questions we get from people in their 40s and 50s is, can my super actually buy real estate? Well, the short answer to that question is yes, and it's possible through something called a SMSF property loan. However, a SMSF property loan is a sophisticated strategy with very strict rules, higher costs, and it's definitely not suitable for everyone. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works, the benefits, the risks, and who it is best suited for. Let's get started. SMSF Loan Basics. SMSF loans allow your self-managed super fund, your SMSF, to borrow money and purchase an investment property. The key mechanism behind a SMSF property loan is called a Limited Recourse Borrowing Arrangement, or LRBA. This LRBA means the lender's claim is restricted to just the investment property itself. If something goes wrong and the loan can't be repaid, the lender can only foreclose or take possession of the investment property and not the rest of your super savings. This protection is crucial because superannuation is meant for retirement, so it's very important that your super is protected. The property purchased through the SMSF is also held in a separate legal structure known as a bare trust until the entire SMSF investment loan is paid off. Let me now explain the SMSF property purchase structure, as most people can find this a little confusing. In this structure, your SMSF acts as the beneficial owner. It provides the deposit from super contributions or accumulated balance, and it makes all the loan repayments using both rental income from the property and your ongoing super contributions. Despite your SMSF receiving the benefits and paying for the costs, the actual legal title of the investment property is held by a separate entity called a holding trust, or more commonly known as a bare trust or security trust. This trust has no other assets or purpose. It simply holds the property on behalf of your SMSF. When the loan is fully repaid, the investment property title transfers completely into your SMSF, and this layered setup is required by law to keep the borrowing compliant and protect the assets in your superannuation. It may be a little complex, but it's what makes SMSF lending possible. So, what rules apply to SMSFs? Well, both residential and commercial investment properties are allowed. However, residential property does have very tight restrictions. In particular, it must be for pure investment only. You, your family, or any other related party can never live in the property or even stay for holidays. Commercial property, on the other hand, is more flexible. Many business owners actually buy commercial premises using their own SMSF and then lease it back to their own business at full market rental rates. Of course, everything must satisfy the Australian Tax Office's sole purpose test, which holds that the only reason for owning the property is to provide benefits in retirement. No personal benefit whatsoever is allowed in SMSF lending. Borrowing inside your SMSF is tightly regulated. You can only borrow for one single acquirable asset per arrangement, basically one property per loan. Deposits are typically much higher than standard loans, often 20 to 40% or more of the property value, all coming from your superannuation balance. Interest rates are higher than standard home loans, because it is specialist lending and only a small number of lenders offer SMSF loans at all, and definitely not the big four banks in most cases. Setup costs are significant as well for things like trusts, legal work, and ongoing compliance, which can easily be $5,000 to $15,000 or more upfront. So why do people invest in property through their SMSFs? The main attraction is the favorable tax environment inside super. However, before I do speak on these benefits, I do have to highlight that this is general information only and not personal tax or financial advice. Tax outcomes vary enormously depending on your individual circumstances, and you should consult your registered accountant, financial planner, or tax agent before proceeding. Having said that, rental income coming into the fund is usually taxed at the concessional super rate of 15%, or even 0% once you're in pension phase. Interest that you pay on the loan is also tax deductible within the fund. Then, when you eventually sell the investment property, capital gains can receive substantial discounts, often an effective tax rate of just 10%. And in pension phase, capital gains can actually be tax-free under the right conditions. All this growth compounds in a low tax environment, which can make buying a property through your SMSF very rewarding. Now for the risks and downsides of SMSF property loans. Costs are much higher overall, including for loan rates, SMSF setup, bare trust setup, and annual compliance requirements for audits and valuations. Moreover, when it comes to SMSF lending, there are far fewer lenders, meaning you will have less competition and less choice. You get no personal use of the investment property that you bought with your SMSF whatsoever, not even a weekend away. Compliance is strict and ongoing because the Australian Tax Office watches SMSFs very closely. Selling the property in a SMSF can also be slower and more complicated if cash is needed quickly. And if any rules are broken, even unintentionally, penalties can be severe, or the SMSF could become non-compliant, triggering large tax bills. Investing in property through a SMSF is powerful when done right, but the risks are certainly real as well. Who is SMSF lending best for? Firstly, SMSF lending is usually the best for people aged 40 and older with a solid super balance, often $200,000 or more, for meeting the property loan deposit and related costs. Secondly, those who want direct property exposure inside their retirement portfolio. And thirdly, business owners who want to own the commercial property that their own business rents. SMSF property investment is rarely suitable for younger people or those needing flexibility. At Forward Prosperity, we always assess whether SMSF property investment genuinely fits your goals before moving forward. If you've been wondering whether SMSF property could play a role in your retirement plan, let's have an obligation-free conversation. At Forward Prosperity, we'll check your eligibility, compare the available specialist lenders, run realistic numbers, and connect you with SMSF experts. Visit www.forwardprosperity.com today to book a free consultation. At Forward Prosperity, we help you build a strong financial future, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. At Forward Prosperity, we help you build a strong financial future, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.